Can I sit next to you like a real guest speaker?
Cool.
I feel like a legit one. Yay, Becca! Okay, so I'm just going to do a shortened version of what we did on last Monday because I took over about 45 minutes roughly. And do we have that? I don't know.
Not quite. We've got like 40 minutes.
Okay,
Close.
I accept that. Basically the two messages of the presentation that I gave last Monday was that if you need help for anything at all, whether it be mental illness or help with science homework or anything you possibly need, please get it. And it totally sucks in the moment, and you're not going to be happy with it, and you're going to be upset with people who urge you to get it, but in the long run, you'll really be grateful. The second message, the overall theme was that you are not alone no matter what you're going through. No matter what it is, I can't guarantee someone in this room is going through the same thing, but I can pretty much guarantee someone in this building, if not in whatever town we live in, is going through the same thing, and most likely more than one person. So, okay, I'll just start. Freshman year, it was a harder transition than I thought it was going to be to high school, and I was kind of like pushing it aside and being like, well, everyone's transition is hard, and like everyone only has one friend. Like, not really, but like, I don't know, everyone's tired, loaded with homework and has a million extracurricular activities, and I have a really hard time saying no to like people when they ask me to, I don't know, join this club or be this, officer of a club or whatever, and I was not getting home till like 9:30, 10, and then having hours and hours of homework on top of that. And I'm sure a lot of high school students can relate. And it's kind of not like that until the very end of senior year when you're just kind of like, I am not doing anything, and it's awesome. And so the stress kind of that's embarrassing. The stress kind of got more and more intense. And December, our freshman year was the first time, well, let me backtrack for a sec. I started thinking about exercising a lot and restricting and started counting calories and doing all these things that I thought everyone else was doing too, and I didn't realize that nobody else was thinking, not nobody else, but I didn't realize that it wasn't like average, I guess, to think of all these things as much as I did. It's always on the forefront of my mind, like how many calories I took in that day, and how I was going to burn them off and everything. And December freshman year was the first time I purged my food, and I remember looking in the mirror after I did that for the first time and saying, what am I doing to myself? Like, that's kind of when it clicked that it wasn't normal, or normal, it's kind of a relative term, but that it wasn't healthy. And after that, it just started getting kind of worse and worse, and it's like an addiction. And I was weighing myself 5 times a day, give or take, and purging a lot, and leaving class in the middle of class to get rid of my food, and kind of taking in as little food as possible and exercising more and more. And it started getting worse and worse, and I was exhausted all the time. Like, you can't even count how many times I used the word exhausted in the presentation last Monday. It's really, I can't think of another word for it, but it's just like tiring. And not only is the physical activity tiring because you have no food in your system and you're exercising, so it's just not a good combination. But thinking of it is, oh my gosh, it's just tiring. Like, to think about that all day, every day, to not be able to focus in class because you're worried about lunch, and to fight with yourself in order, if your mom starts to, not even like question it, but if she, just a family dinner, she thinks it's just average, and she's wondering why you're not eating your food, you're like fighting with yourself to eat your food, and that's just tiring to yell at yourself all the time and to have to quiet yourself down. And so spring of freshman year, I went to my school guidance counselor and told her what was going on, and she made me call my mom, which, like I said in the beginning of the class, it like totally sucked at first, and it was like thugged thought it was the worst and like thought she was gonna have to get me, like all these different things, but it ended up being like the best thing that she could have done. So my mom, I got home that day and she cried and I cried and it was kind of like a big tear fest. And then she took me to the pediatrician the next day, and the pediatrician said, "We'll weigh you, and then in 2 weeks we'll come back and we'll weigh you again, and then in 2 weeks we'll come back and we'll weigh you again." And that was her treatment plan. And one of the things about eating disorders is it's not a physical illness. It's really not. It's a mental illness, and you can't tell what state you're in by your weight. Like, you can be extremely underweight, but be in pro-recovery mode and be mentally fine. You can be amazing and healthy. And it can be the opposite. You can just come out of treatment and be physically okay and have regained your normal weight, but not, kind of regress and relapse and not be mentally okay. But no one would ever think because you're at a healthy weight. So she weighed me and she was like, "Well, your weight is fine, but the amount of time that you took to lose the weight is not okay. Like, it's just kind of, it's sick. Like, you're sick. But not in a bad way. That sounds, she didn't mean it meanly. So 2 weeks later I came back and the same thing happened. She was like, "Your weight itself is okay, but you shouldn't be losing weight this fast." So same thing happened, and finally it was kind of like obviously not getting any better because she wasn't doing anything mentally help me. She was having me step on the scale and step back off and just send me off. Like, didn't tell me really anything to do except for eat more and exercise less. So that summer, before the end of freshman year, I was put into the IOP program at Renfrew, which is intensive outpatient, and the Renfrew Center was in Wilton. I went to the one in Wilton, but now it's in Old Greenwich. And there's a bunch of them all over the country, but that's the one I'm trying to get. So it was the IOP program, which is 3 nights a week for 3 hours each, and you go in and you do a group, and you do a dinner, and then you do another group, and you do a closing group, and then you're done. So that's Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, I believe it was. And every Monday was multifamily group, which is where you bring in friends and family to IOP. They don't eat dinner with you, but in the later program they do eat a meal with you. So I was doing that through the end of school, and when school ended, I didn't really know what to do with my free time. I was kind of like confused, because I was staying up to these crazy hours doing homework, and then once it all stopped, it just kind of hit me, like I don't know what to do with myself. Which gives you a lot of time to plan your exercise and to plan your meals and to do all these negative things. So I was put into the day program, which is 5 days a week from 9 to 2, I think it is. And there you go in, you do breakfast right away, and then you do a community group, which is all about building community, obviously, and it's kind of like a communications type group. Then you do a regular group, then you do a snack if you're underweight enough. If you're at a dangerously low weight, they will put you on a snack. I was on a snack along with 4 other women, I think. And then you go back and you do a second group, and then you do lunch, and then you do another group, and then closing group. And then you're sent home for the night. And Mondays and Thursdays are running weeks, I believe, so when you check your weight. And once a week you're pulled out for a private nutrition session, and then another once a week you're pulled out for a private therapy session. And then a lot of the women also saw private therapists and private psychiatrists outside of treatment. So it's kind of like a lot, and it's just as exhausting as when you were physically at your sickest, because at that point you're fighting with yourself all the time to be in recovery mode if you really want it. If you really want it, it's like 2 sides of your head are fighting. Like, don't eat the meal, no, but do eat the meal. And it's just like tiring to hear the yelling. It's like when your parents, when you were little, and you used to fight with your siblings constantly, and your parents would just like snap all of a sudden and be like, "Stop," and like you didn't understand. I totally understand. I just want to like snap at myself all the time and be like, just give me peace and quiet for 5 minutes, because you don't have any control over the eating disorder voice. So I did multifamily group there also. That was Mondays, I think, and Ellie came with me once, and or she came with me once. Once to IOP. Okay, show that. Once to IOP and once to the day program. And day program, you eat breakfast together, which was hilarious.
Didn't eat it the proper way.
Ellie was terrible at breakfast. There's so many rules to follow that people who aren't sick, they don't understand them. Like, there's no ice allowed in the kitchen. You can't look at other people's plates, but you're timed and like all these. I don't even know.
I was eating too slowly, and I broke up my muffin.
Yeah, you can't break up a muffin, and they measure your food before you put it on your plate. They measure it so it's, it's the right amount. And so, like, in order to butter my bagel, they have to check that you have the right amount of butter, and they have to check that you're buttering it properly. It's like, for a place that you're like being taught to normalize eat, they're like very strict about it. So that was like the best. I don't know. I was having trouble last week too figuring out how to phrase this part because I don't want to glamorize it and make this illness sound like, what we all want to achieve, but at the same time, it's like I don't want to discourage it either because it was honestly like it was the best experience ever treatment, and like we talked about it in group one day, and we were like, if you don't go to treatment, go to summer camp because it's the same experience, it's the same bonding, it's the same like you're all stuck in a room together, and you're just like. You just get to know the other people so well. You get to know them in and out. And like right from the get-go, you're put in a position where you're completely vulnerable because they know what brought you there, and they're brought there for the same reason. So you bond really quickly, and I was sitting in private, and I didn't want to be there. I did not want to be there. I was like, I know it's good for me. I know I can still lose weight. I'm really not that sick. It's really not that bad. Like everyone's making a big fuss over it. And I was sitting in private nutrition. I was the youngest one there. I was the baby. I was 15. And everyone else the youngest one after that was 18. And everyone else was in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. And I think we had some in their 60s also. So I was sitting in private nutrition, and my dietitian looked at me and said, "You're 15. What are you doing here? You should be on the beach in a bathing suit and not caring about what you eat. What are you doing here?" And I couldn't answer her question. I had no idea what I was doing there. So I think that's when it kind of snapped, when it kind of like clicked into place that like I didn't want to be there. And from then I kind of promised myself that I would be in recovery mode. And even when it was hard to eat, I just had to push through. That summer I was like formally diagnosed with anorexia, but I just like want to be clear that there's so many types of eating disorders out there that we don't know about. There's two types of anorexia. There's like restricting and purging anorexia. There's also bulimia. Then there's EDNOS, which is eating disorder not otherwise specified, which will get you basically an insurance claim without meeting the qualifications for anorexia or bulimia. Then there's purging disorder, then there's binge eating disorder, then there's pica, then there's like all these different things that I think we really need to be informed about, because if we're not informed about it, we can't fight for the insurance companies to cover it. But without insurance companies' help, there's so many people who don't receive treatment. Only 1 in 10 people with an eating disorder receive treatment. So I think it's really, really crucial that we be informed about them. That summer, we went on outings and we went to the movies together, and it was a really supportive group. I was really lucky. I know a couple people who were there that didn't bond as well with their group, not that they hated them, but we just all kind of clicked together. And we were really supportive. We went to the movies and we would count how many proteins were in like the popcorn, and which there aren't any, but how many like food groups were in our snacks, and we would always check in, text each other at night saying, "Did you finish your meal plan today?" And like it was just a really nice environment.